We are on a mission.
A mission to save and revitalize independent pharmacy.
On the Catalyst Pharmacy podcast,
You will get actionable business advice
hear stories from industry leaders,
and share a laugh with us.
fuel your passion for pharmacy.
One conversation at a time.
Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Hello, and happy Friday.
Yes. No.
Yes, to
Happy
you as well.
Cinco de
Sunny,
Mayo.
Oh, sorry. Happy Cinco de Mayo.
Yes.
As
Cinco de Mayo.
corrected by my social expert.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's sunny Texas, Dallas here, and definitely going to have to go out for some margaritas afterwards.
Yes, that means we all have a margarita plan. What's your favorite margarita there, Marc? Are you a
I'm
spicy
pretty
guy?
Traditional.
No,
I'm pretty traditional, man. Over the rocks and lime with a salted rim. It's all
Yeah?
good.
What about you, Darren?
Okay.
Spicy.
Spicy. All right.
A little jalapeno in it.
Yep. I got we got all picked out. I got a crazy Mexican at one place. There's a habanero spicy margarita. I like a tahini rim too.
Oh yeah.
Matter of fact, with salt, I went through a stage I really wasn't a big fan of a salt rim, but once they came out and started doing the tahini rim, then I kind of started liking rims. It's kind of interesting. It's like growing up, I never really liked guacamole, probably because I never really had good guacamole. And then there was a place, Cantina Laredo, they actually put cilantro and they put a little more ingredients in it, and it was amazing. And so now I like even regular guacamole, so it's kind of like the cilantro was a gateway drug, so the tahini's kind of a gateway to get you to salt.
Yeah.
I'm just blabbering.
You are blabbering, but I mean, it's Cinco de Mayo, and so yeah, I mean that's what I asked you is like, okay, where are we getting a margarita today?
Yeah,
so,
we were in the green room. I heard you talking about Vegas. We
Yeah.
glad you got that before we started recording. We don't.
That's all right. Everybody knows that Zenvio is in Vegas, so I don't think there's any surprises to anybody who would be listening to this particular
that's right.
episode.
How was it?
I think we're good.
How was it?
It was great.
Talked to a guy this morning. Said it's a pretty good show.
Yeah, it usually is. I mean, there's certainly one of those things where it's the best of specialty. There's a lot of partners
Right.
there, a lot of vendors, manufacturers. Mark Cuban made his appearance, but lots of great CDs, lots of great information for everybody that was there, and certainly not the greatest spot. I mean, 5 days in Las Vegas is a long show, but nonetheless,
that's
very valuable.
maybe you shouldn't drink today. You should be
if
in
you're
the
just
liver. You're in the liver recovery zone right now.
If you're just
That's
coming back
exact-
from
yeah.
Vegas,
Yeah, that's a lot. Yeah, and some of these guys, these guys have been in pharmacy a long time. I mean, I think about Richard Brooks, who recently retired, and some of these guys, and they do this 3-4 o'clock in the morning stuff when they're on these trips and they're networking and stuff. And I'm like, yeah, guys, by 10 o'clock, my body says it's midnight.
Yeah.
I'm over. I mean, I am just.
I can go East Coast all day long, but going West Coast is just like you said. At 8 o'clock, my body's going, it's 10 p.m. Why are you still up? And I'm not a night owl.
Yeah, and Vegas is a great place to see a show because a
Yeah.
lot of times the venues are smaller. They have a lot of neat shows, but they start at like 8 o'clock. You're like,
Yeah.
Or 9.
or 9.
Or 9.
I know. So like seeing like J-Lo, or we saw
Backstreet Boys.
Yeah, and
Britney.
yes,
Gwen
poor
Stefani.
Britney and Gwen Stefani. Those are all good, but you got to be.
Yeah.
You got to. Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot to stay
Yeah.
awake.
Or
So-
my favorite food. What are some of your favorite restaurants in Vegas?
Yeah, my favorite. I'm always a steak guy when I'm in Vegas. You don't get eat these great high end steak places. So Delmonico is always one of my favorites.
Okay.
Right there at the Venetian. That's one of my favorite places to go. And then there's Buddy V, Cake Boss. He has an Italian restaurant that's in that area as well. That's quite good.
Nice. I like the more like speakeasy kind of tapas style stuff.
Yes.
And I found my favorite one there it's in the Cosmopolitan. It's called Beauty in Essex. So when you walk in, you think you're walking into a pawn shop. And then there's a guy in a suit there that's like, "Do you have a reservation?" I'm like, "Is this Beauty in Essex?" And they go, "Yeah." And then he opens up this mirrored door and then you go in.
cool.
And
It's got a neat vibe.
So cool.
I always feel like a vampire. I
Yeah.
feel like I'm I feel like I'm in that
That's
kind
great.
of that kind of
I
chic.
wrote that down. So I made
Except,
sure that's
except
all
they
good.
have
Check that
mirrors
out.
everywhere. I'm like, you're messing with the vampire vibe. They
It
should be like
is.
they should be
They're
like
like-
fake mirror shapes or something.
Well, and they're like an antique framing, and they're
It's a
vintage.
cool place.
It's a
Next time you're in
very
Vegas,
cool.
you ought to go to Beauty and Essex.
Yeah. Ooh,
and they
get
did and bring a group, because a lot of the stuff is designed to be tapas. And so when you got a group, they have 5. Like one of the things they have is this little bite of tomato bisque with a cheese thing in there, and there's like 6 of those. And so if you had 6 people, everybody get one.
Yeah, it's
and then
the little, like the spoons when you get when you go to a Chinese restaurant or a hibachi place and they bring you miso soup. So it's that spoon, that big red spoon, and it has tomato basil in it and like this little grilled cheese dumpling in the middle. Oh, it's the best thing you'll ever put in your mouth.
Wow.
Well, Marc and Darren, we know you guys, but our audience may not.
So, Marc, why don't we start with you?
Sure. So I have a unique name, Marc Essensa. Even in my own family, people pronounce it differently. So I'm never offended by somebody who has trouble saying it, which is just fine. But been in the industry, in the pharmaceutical industry now for 27 years, of which I was just over 25 years with McKesson Corporation, which I recently had the most recent position was I was the head of the Masters Drug Company, which is their secondary wholesaler business.
Nice. Generics,
So
right?
private generics, yeah, secondary
Okay.
generics, competing on in the regular marketplaces with all the other secondaries.
And how how many years did you last in McKesson?
I was 25 years.
Dang. So you're a stayer. Marc's a stick with you
He's
kind of guy.
committed.
We've learned that he's committed. He's
Absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah. I started off in the Canadian divisions. I'm actually a Canadian citizen, and
Interesting.
McKesson
Okay.
brought me down to the U.S. on a work visa. I'm bringing down let's get this Canadian guy down here after I did a stint up in our north, and kind of moved around. I think it was at 9 McKesson cities before I decided to come over to IPC back in November. So ran operations groups. I ran sales organizations in the North Central region out of St. Louis. And of course, then my most current thing was running the Masters Drug Company. I ran Sky Pharmaceutical, which is their unit dose packaging and manufacturing division, and their 3PL, their generic 3PL company called RxTPL. So,
So did you convert? Have you converted from Canadian? Are you still a Canadian?
I have no.
You've
So
converted.
believe it or not, it will be May 17th. Will be exactly 1 year since I just swore the oath of allegiance, and I am now an American citizen.
Nice.
So not quite a year, but about 3 weeks away from a year. So it was great. My children, which were born in St. Louis, were able to attend. My wife, believe it or not, was not because of COVID. They wouldn't allow people into the swearing-in ceremony, but my daughters did because they wouldn't allow minor children to be sitting out in the parking lot. So I'm like, all right, well, pretending my wife wasn't here, and yeah, I was able to bring them in so they could share that special day. with me.
Nice.
And you, did I hear right? You're in Dallas now?
I am in Dallas, Texas. Yeah, that's
Okay.
not too far
From our office?
From your office,
From the
exactly.
studio.
There in Flint.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes. We need to get together
Uh-huh.
Absolutely.
over
Yeah.
margaritas.
And how old are your daughters? He's on
They are
recovery.
10 and 12 years old, 4th and 6th grade. Beautiful.
And what part of what city do y'all live in?
Southland.
Southlake. Oh, well, okay.
Yep, that's right around the
Wow,
corner.
yeah.
We're in Colleyville.
We'll be
Oh,
eating
yeah.
at True Lux tonight in Southlake.
Or my
Very nice.
son's-
If you're a steak, have you ever eaten at True Lux?
Yes, I have, as a matter of fact.
Yeah. Did you have a steak there?
I did.
And
Yeah.
your thoughts?
Love it. Between that and Perry's, probably my two favorite steaks in,
Yep.
kind of in the DFW region that I've had.
Yeah, I would say True Lux is probably my top 5 steaks in the country. It's that.
Yeah.
And their other stuff's good too. Fish and stuff's good. So
Yeah, I like I'm more of their fish. I like more of their fish, but I love Perry's pork chop.
it's kind of fishy.
Like you go to Perry's for the pork chop.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, it's good too. When you get to Perry's, I, usually have the high-end vehicles, and I certainly don't have a super high-end vehicle. They park them out front like the valets do. But what's interesting is the valets are all young kids. They don't know how to drive a 6-speed. So when I bring my car there, which is an old model, a 94 Viper, which is, that's a fairly old car, but they don't know how to drive a 6-speed. So I get to park it right up front in front of the restaurant. So it works out well that the kids today don't know how to drive a standard.
Well, welcome, neighbor from the north, to the United States,
you.
and welcome to Southlake, Texas. Great to have you.
Appreciate it.
Feel like we're bonding here, Darren. You're gonna have to. How are we gonna connect? Tell us about you.
Okay. So I am Darren Thieding. Last name is spelled, it's kind of like Marc. It's sometimes often mispronounced. But
why do you think I didn't pronounce it?
Because you probably couldn't pronounce it. So you golf tee and the bell goes ding. So it's that easy. I'm new to IPC. I came to IPC 7 years ago, so I'm new to pharma, but I've been in the healthcare vertical space with a handful of companies over the last 33 years.
Okay.
So I started my career with a company that was a very small regional company out of the Twin Cities. The company is now known as Agility Healthcare, and rapidly rose through the ranks at Agility, or what is now Agility Healthcare. And it was a great experience for me. A lot of different roles: sales, operations, general management. But it was a great example of a business that transformed itself when we saw kind of a paradigm shifting within the acute care hospital and health system space. Agility provides equipment and service solutions to hospitals. So that was a great experience.
Do you have any kind of technical? So I think next time you tell that story about your rise at Agility, you should say you sprinted through the ranks.
Sprinted through the ranks.
He's playing with ChatGPT a lot right now.
No, because you got Agile as a development technology that has sprints. So see, at AgileRx, I sprinted through the ranks. Okay, go ahead.
So from there, I did a stint with a Swiss dental implant manufacturer leading North American sales, and then was recruited to join Invacare Corporation to build out a business for them that provided equipment and services to the long-term care sector. I had some friends at IPC that recruited me to IPC about 7 years ago, so that's how I ended up in this space. But really excited to be here. Really excited to, be working with Marc and the team at IPC to help pharmacy through this next period of change, which we see tremendous opportunities. So I live in Northeast Ohio, Cleveland, Akron area. I've been here for 30 years. My work with Agility took me here. My wife and I are going to be empty nesters. I've got 3 boys. My youngest son graduates from high school in less than 2 weeks.
Oh, wow.
So,
Marsha's in that spot.
My oldest is graduating in 2 weeks. So has he picked out a college?
He's going to the Ohio State University.
Nice. My daughter is moving from Texas to Savannah, Georgia. She got accepted to SCAD.
So what is?
Oh, congratulations!
So what does he think, or is he thinking about AI and marketing?
Yeah.
You're seeing some of the predictions about it's going to eliminate about 30% of marketing jobs.
He has thought about that. I'm not sure if he's going to stay in marketing, but
I think it's
that
great
is
field.
a concern for him.
There's going to be 70% of people who are going to know really well how to use AI and take it to their advantage. They're going to be more productive. I worry some about because what it's likely to take out is the newer marketers, right? The more that are doing production rather than ideation. So as going to college in marketing, we have to figure out, I think in college, and this is be interesting to see where he's looking at, Ohio State, how well they're thinking about AI. They really ought to come out of that college experience knowing more about that than a lot of the people in place. And that way they can kind of hop over those people who came out before them because they had time to really own these tools. I mean, there's hundreds and thousands of tools coming out every month. And we set, Marsha and I have been in 2 marketing training type scenarios in the last month or so. And surprisingly, 40% of the people there hadn't even touched it, didn't know what it was.
Wow.
There was a marketing teacher.
No, it was 40% had touched it. Most of the room had not
60,
touched it. Yeah.
There was even a marketing teacher who went around asking questions and how did you, I do this with ChatGPT. How do you do that? I do it with ChatGPT to get started in a blank. And he's like, well, I've known people who've done ChatGPT. And I'm like, okay, you're a teacher. So what's interesting with your son's journey is going to be thinking about if the college doesn't do it, how does he get it? maybe he, you know, I took about a 4-year stint where I took off from the business world. I had created some patents and made some money, and I said, hey, I'm going to help try to make more rounded students coming out. And so we took their regular basic curriculum, but also focused on some certifications. So more like, hey, I'm already out and I'm going to get some certification. I'll get them in school. And so maybe he might like a sidetrack where he works on some AI certifications and stuff if they're not giving that in school. So he comes out with a kind of leap. But I wouldn't be afraid of it. Marketing's great, especially if you come out with a mindset of creating value. I was having a talk with a guy who works for me the other day, and just, you know, right now we're hiring some people and everybody's laying off marketers, right? You say that people do it again and again and again, where economy gets bad and the first thing they do is they cut marketing. Okay. When you have trouble getting oil out of the ground, you don't cut the piece that pulls the oil out of the ground, right? You figure out how to frack, you spend more. And the problem there is a lot of agencies and stuff and a lot of marketers are executing marketing budgets without proving their value. Because if they're proving their value, those companies would be figuring out how to lay off middle management to spend more money on marketing so that we could sustain the same kind of leads coming through sales as we do when the economy's better. So a lot of cool possibilities, a great person there, you know, maybe even getting some kind of minor in sales where you really understand sales and stuff. So what an exciting time.
Well, and there's I'm already kind of finding some of them, and I've signed up for one. They've come out with like marketing with AI classes. So they're just kind of starting to talk about it. And so I think I need to look at what date I've enrolled.
And somebody will do it. Somebody will do a certificate on that.
Yeah.
You have
well, no, that's what this is. It's a certificate program, and it's 4 classes, and each class is 2 weeks. And so so I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, to try to get that slice. So be glad to talk to him sometime if you'd like me to.
Absolutely.
So exciting times. All right, so IPC.
So we have 2,200 independent pharmacies.
Okay.
That are our owners. So at the end of the year, any residuals go back as a patronage dividend, and they have a board of directors, and they are the ones who direct me and the company as to how we're going to go forward. But what we do as a GPO is we consolidate and aggregate volume for one of our members. So we're all we're exclusively with McKesson Corporation as our wholesaler. So we negotiate on the behalf of the members our contracts for pharmacies, pharmaceuticals coming through McKesson. And then we also do a lot of things on the back end that are non-pharmaceutical related, like, greeting cards, gift cards, files, those types of things. And then we also create relationships with the folks such as yourselves, as well as, other ancillary things that are required in pharmacy to run the business. The other thing that we also do is we kind of consolidate some of the programs that, traditional wholesalers or banners can't do because of channel conflict that they may have within their organization with other classes of trade, such as digital health and other things that we are currently working on in terms of giving our members access to what the chains do, but doing it at the GPO level. So I don't know, Darren, if I got that.
Nailed it. You nailed it.
So group GPO, there are these. I love Troy Trigstad said something. The one thing he loves to talk about is when things are bad, you moneyball it, you flip the table over, right? So, this is a time of disruption. You flip everybody's table over. So what kind of stuff are you guys doing to flip the table over?
So there's a couple of things, and maybe what I'll do is I'll kind of discuss before handing over to Darren on the warehouse side. But on the digital side, so one of the things that's happening is a lot of the members in independent pharmacy, whether it's our member or not, are getting bombed by different manufacturers, different vendors that are out there that are trying to solve for a DIR cliff that's going to be hitting here in January, just the economics of pharmacy, provider status, and all that. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to consolidate all that noise into something that's digestible, easy for an independent to understand, because they're busy taking care of patients. So as their partner, or not even our partners, their owned entity, we're consolidating a lot of those vendors and programs into one central place to be able to consolidate it into one ecosphere. So that way it's an easy button, so to speak, for them to be able to go to in order to get access to the things that the chains have. we think it's going to be kind of one of the most important things in the new coming markets that nobody has solved for us yet. And we're actively developing that, and we'll be launching that at the Idea Share, which is McKesson's trade show, in the middle of June. So that is right now the newest thing on the horizon. But as far as value, maybe Darren, if you want to talk about what our warehouse does, what it does for our members, and how it funds the organization to effectively allow patronage monies to flow back.
Yeah. So the other part of Independent Pharmacy Cooperative is our warehouse. We're actually the 5th largest drug wholesaler in the U.S. We sell brands and generic drugs to not only our members, but our other independent pharmacy customers as well. So we have over 4,500 other independent pharmacy customers that utilize our warehouse, and it's those transactions that create margin and opportunity that help us return that margin or equity back to our membership. Independent pharmacies use our warehouse to help manage their generic compliance rate. So they'll purchase brands or leak brands to IPC, also find maybe some immediate generic savings opportunities, again, to enhance their profitability, but more importantly, manage their compliance with their primary wholesaler relationship. So as Marc said, we're working to provide additional tools to simplify that compliance process for not only our members, but for our warehouse customers as well.
So we look at the timing. A lot of people are talking about 2 years from now, there won't be any brand in independent pharmacy, right? That a lot of brands coming off, a lot of the big brands are coming off patent, et cetera. Isn't it time that we get rid of rebates? Rebates make it really hard for pharmacies to rebate. And in my opinion, rebates are a lot of things just as bad as DRR fees. They make it really hard for me to plan to, what did I make on this drug, really plan my business. We see some buying groups across the country getting rid of rebates and going to straight pricing. I think this was, rebates were created, in my opinion, to create fog with PBMs. Well, the PBMs know it now. There's no fog, right? They know it. The purpose of rebates has passed. So what do you guys feel about that? What are you doing toward that? Do you feel like rebates still have a place in us trying to save and revitalize independent pharmacy?
Yeah, Jeff, we used to have a rebate model in our warehouse, and we eliminated that this year. So we had generic rebates associated with our purchases. We've gone to a net model.
Nice, congratulations!
Eliminated those rebates in the last couple of months.
How's pharmacy responding to that?
The response has been really well. I mean, we have, it's easier for, the RX purchaser to identify the price up front, what they're really paying. So the response has been overwhelmingly positive. And we've seen kind of record levels of re-engagement with customers that maybe have gone dormant because they didn't like the rebate model. It's been very positive for us.
Was that hard to get done? Was that a big, we talk about how IPC did that. We were like,
how heavy a lift was that?
Did Marc come in and like, yeah, this makes sense, we got to do this? Or was it really hard to do?
It wasn't hard to do. What was hard was committing to the decision. So I think the execution of it wasn't terribly difficult. It was really, and with Marc's leadership coming in and saying, yeah, we absolutely need to do this. But sometimes making the decision is often the hardest part. Executing often isn't as challenging as people think.
So what's cool? So let's rehash that.
Mm-hmm. Let's simplify it.
5th largest wholesaler in the country is now selling brand and generic at net price, right? So I know I can look at what my reimbursements are. I can look at what my actual costs are, and start doing simpler accounting.
Yeah. Now it's not quite net because our brands, now it's net on the invoice, but our brands are actually at WAC -3. So that's what we sell brands at. So,
and that's hard, that. And I don't know who started. I wasn't around when the whole selling brands at a loss to get the generic business started. But the PBMs are hip to that too, right? So they're fine to let you go at a loss for brand as well. And so I don't know in the end if we're servicing it, you know, like how could you do a magic and reset that where, you know, each drug pays its way and the PBMs are paying appropriately for what the drug costs. That'll be the next big problem. And maybe IPC will be a leader at solving that problem too.
So
Yeah, it absolutely is. And I think what we're finding is, and I apologize if I just interrupted you, but I think so obviously we're talking about our warehouse and there was really no reason to have rebates on our warehouse side because we don't cross-subsidize like a primary wholesaler does with their brand, the generics from one day or the other. But I mean, obviously there's a working capital play there that we had to give up because we're not a for-profit company. So you have to have working capital to, you know, house the $80 million of inventory that we have to sit on the floor. That said, if you take it over to the wholesaler side, what you are seeing, and I think you hit it exactly right on the head, is that rebates have kind of passed their time, and especially with these DIR fees that are coming up here in January, you know, having a 25, 30, up to 45% generic rebate that's held for 25 days. It gets a bit passed back. The original intent was, to your point, is to fog what the marketplace and what it looks like, but all the major PBMs now own mail order pharmacies. They know the acquisition.
They know exactly right. They know.
They know, right? The other thing of it is that a lot of it had to do and strategically built for compliance because it is a cross-subsidized model. You know, those rebates, you know, hold, you know, you accountable to making sure that you're giving your 90% of generics or whatever your GCR rate is. But that's even becoming less and less because you can still accomplish that with a lesser generic rebates. So I don't think we'll see rebates completely go away. It's still a tool that the wholesalers use for compliance, but they are starting to decrease. Now they're 10%, 5%.
So
that cash from.
So if the big wholesalers wanted to really help pharmacy, which is independent pharmacy is probably where they make their profits, right? Well, let's just say it was magic, and it won't be, but the magic would be if we went into January with no rebates and they were paying net prices, that might help solve some of the problem with that DR cliff, you know, with the DRs at that time.
Yeah, you're exactly right. What would happen is that the clawback that you're going to see on that delay for the DR would be an exact offset to getting priced at the pump into your rebate. So it will help offset that. We are seeing in the marketplace, not only through IPC, but just in general as we compete, there are programs that are coming out. We call it a decoupled model where they're not cross-subsidized. So you're not getting an aggressive brand cost of goods, but you're getting a net generic pricing portfolio. And part of the reason I think the big wholesalers are starting to do it is that the generic pricing got so out of line in source programs in order to fund the cost minus, then that they're just leaking to the secondary market.
Right.
The big three sell a better buy side than the big three, than the secondary market. So what they'll do is that, hey, we'll compete. You know, you have a 0% GCR, you're going to get let's say WAC -3 on your brands, but we'll go head to head in the secondary market and give you the most aggressive pricing because they're not worried about macking anymore. To your point earlier about the PBMs know, but the other thing is that now you're seeing AWP -25 that the PBMs are going after. Well, that's because they know that the pharmacies are getting WAC -5 and chains don't get that. Chains are in a WAC -3, WAC -3.25, but they have a super aggressive brand side or a generic side. So it is starting to level out, and what that'll help is on the brand side when the chains start to report. That'll help the NADAC pricing on brands because they don't have it. Only the independents have it right now. The independents that are reporting. So.
Yeah, and it's weird because it creates winners and losers. The wholesaler, they have contracts they messed up, and because of the mix, they're losing money. And you have contracts because of the mix. The pharmacy's in a bad spot. It's just not good business. Where when you're wholesaling a product, that the cost of that product isn't reasonably tied. The sell price isn't really tied to the cost. That it's just so variable.
So
I saw you wanted to. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So you mentioned that y'all have over, I think, Mark, you said 5,400 locations, pharmacies that y'all service.
4,500.
4,500.
Yeah, you did though. I like what you did. You kind of upsized it. She sold it. She's a marketer, so she went 45 to 54.
Y'all are bigger than that. So, exactly how spread out are you? Where's the majority of your customer base? Because I'm familiar with my favorite cussing pirate, Carrie. in the Seattle area.
I love that podcast. The only person that cussed was me, but I'm saying she inspired me. It was her presence.
We were prepared for a lot of edits and some beeps. We were prepared, but Jeff was the only one that cussed.
She can totally control herself.
So I mean, besides the obvious one I know about, which is Carrie, which I need to follow up.
I miss her. I haven't seen her in a while.
Last time
she was just here at Dallas for our board meeting.
What?
Yeah.
Okay.
That is like, yeah, okay.
I talked to her right before she went to Paris. I'm going to give her some grief about being here and not
stopping by. I'm sure
me.
she was busy.
Okay, back to my question.
Okay.
We digressed. So how many warehouses, like how spread out are you guys?
We just have one warehouse.
Just the one warehouse?
Just one warehouse, yeah.
So it's not necessarily next day.
Yeah, it is next day.
It is next day.
Okay.
Like, where is the one warehouse, though? I mean, is it
our one warehouse?
Where is that one warehouse?
It's like that's got to be somewhere central because everything out of Dallas is 3 hours.
Go ahead. Where is it?
Our one warehouse is in Sun Prairie, Wisconsin, and we utilize UPS and FedEx.
Okay.
Got a great relationship with UPS and FedEx, and they help us get our products overnight across the country. So our 4,500 customers plus 2,200 members receive their orders if they're placed before 7 p.m. Central Time. They receive their orders next day.
Wow, that is a good relationship.
Yes, FedEx.
Where's that hubbing out of? Is there? I guess there's a big hub somewhere near where you guys are.
Sun Prairie, Wisconsin. So we have UPS truck packages to Rockford, Illinois. They're flown to Kentucky to their World Hub, and then they're shipped.
Wow, it's amazing.
It's amazing. It is amazing.
Locations in Hawaii?
If we make that 7 p.m. cutoff time, our customers in Hawaii will get their order next day.
So 7 p.m. Central here would be...
You get some delay that way. Yeah.
Like early.
3 hours.
Yeah. You get to take advantage of the earth
6 hours to Hawaii, so yeah.
It's like, wake up, submit your order. Okay, I'm done for the day.
We're headed to Hawaii in a couple of weeks.
Yes.
It's about lunchtime out there is the cutoff, I think. They're really about.
That's correct.
Wow. One warehouse. That's impressive. You said the volume that you said, I was expecting there to be like one Central, one Eastern, one Pacific.
It's just sufficient.
Very.
That's good. I mean, it has to do with all the distribution. I mean, FedEx and UPS these days are amazing because of the network they have from Amazon, but having one warehouse allows us to consolidate inventory because at $80 million, there's members' money that we have to use as working capital. So being able to consolidate from 2 warehouses, which we had, down to 1 allows us to get rid of safety stock and then be able to bring down our working capital for the members.
So normal pharmacy, what % are they getting from you guys? So you have some brand, you have generics. What's your average guy getting %
It's anywhere between 3 to 5% from us. I mean, a lot of them are still buying from other secondaries like or they're on a portal such as a TrixAid, where they get those products. I assume we're getting most of the secondary brand business because we're one of the few that offer brand at a discount. Most others don't. But the market is about 10. The average pharmacy in totality gets 10% of their spend away from their primary wholesaler through the secondary market, of which we get anywhere from 1 to 0 to 5% potentially.
Yeah, which is their allowed leakage, which hopefully we see models changing where that's not the case. Right.
Yeah.
Now that shipment, do they pay for that shipment? So is that guy who gets it in Hawaii, that's more expensive? So there's like some incentive to order once a week rather than every day or something like that?
No, Jeff, if you meet our shipping and handling minimum, $200 in generics or $5,000 in brand, the order ships for free. So there's no shipping upcharge. We build that into the shipping minimum.
So what do we think about the whole, you said Marc Cuban was at Assembia, made an appearance. Did he talk? I see now he's offering his plan, I guess another cash card, right? He's offering his plan through Pharmacies where he's going to estimate what your cost is for try to do a model around his cost plus model and surely take some type of cut or administration fee. What do y'all think about that? Have you looked into it?
So he's got obviously a very interesting model. He's been out in the marketplace fairly aggressively with him and Alex Oveseshkin, I think is his name, who's their CEO. And they definitely have an interesting model. I think right now they're trying to recruit independent pharmacies for kind of the lack of a better term, a pickup location, for their members. That hasn't been, I don't believe it's been all that successful so far. If you look at their map, they're adding, I think they're up to 40. Wow, there's 21,000 independents in the country. So
is it a pickup model or is it kind of a cash card? Are they actually using independent pharmacy and shipping product to them that they create, or?
No, what I believe is that, but these particular members, is they have like a good RX or some other cash discount card where they'll have a bin, where they'll be able to adjudicate their cash sales to this bin in order to save their usual customary. But I don't see a lot of activity there yet on the independent side. I think there's still some skepticism as to what this means for a member. All the other cash discount cards, the big notable ones, are strictly chain only, at the moment, and that's only because of the economics of how this works. It doesn't seem to fit independent pharmacists. He's definitely breaking a lot of glass, but I think their strategy still evolves. They want to be a disruptor, but sometimes when you're a disruptor without knowing all the connective tissues, you can do as much damage as you do for the few folks that you're helping with the cash pay. You could be jeopardizing infrastructure and networking for independent pharmacy, but hasn't been there yet. But we're certainly monitoring it and trying to understand their model better.
Yeah, a lot of that depends on how many employers he gets on that plan. There's the deal of the transparency. Hey, this is WAC plus whatever 15% plus a deal for the dispensing fee or whatever. So
rather than finding out afterwards what the additional fees that were taken up on top.
Yeah, the downside is what they consider cost not necessarily everybody's cost. So a lot of that's going to come down to what the network decides is cost and what he decides to what he's going to manufacture and how he decides to do that. A lot of interesting things. But again, we're back to turning over the table. So when you're got the worst hand at the table, turning over the table is probably a good thing, right? So
sounds more like a tantrum.
Sounds like a tantrum?
Sounds more like a tantrum. This deck of hands sucks. I'm done. Game's over. Sounds more like a tantrum.
So what else is going on?
Well, Marc touched on this earlier, but certainly the economics of pharmacy around filling scripts is important and relevant and of a concern to our members and customers. But we really see an opportunity for independent pharmacies to integrate themselves in their community and the healthcare model. And we saw that during COVID. So again, as Marc alluded to at the beginning of the show, we're really working to equip our members with tools that will allow them to effectively deliver care and coordinate care for patients in their communities. And that, I think, is what's really exciting about what we're working on. I grew up in Madison, Wisconsin, not far from where IPC is based, and I'm a Green Bay Packer fan, and Vince Lombardi is, often quoted, but I think he has a quote that luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity. And what we're doing at IPC is really preparing for, what we see as an opportunity for independent pharmacy. And that's really integrating kind of their store into community healthcare, which and telemedicine too. So maybe Marc, you can expand on that.
Sure. So I think what you're seeing is out in the marketplace, there's still a bit of a halo effect from COVID and the role that independent and retail in general played in getting inoculations out to the general public. And part of that halo effect is the recognition of the healthcare infrastructure and the access to the healthcare chain through independent pharmacies just because of the number of locations. And so what we're trying to do is we're trying to make sure that we take advantage of that, both with our lobbying efforts on provider status, all the other things that we're all very familiar with. But it's also, as we talked about earlier, how do we get a simplified process that an independent retailer can use to gain access to things that the chains do, as you saw the chain starting to lay down bets on acquisitions of primary care. And part of that is that we have, we're going to be rolling out things that we're working on with the teledoc service, a telepharmacy service, remote patient monitoring, working on point of care testing, Partnering up with CLIA certified labs to be able to do the more complex types of things, pharmacogenomics. And how do we continue to add to that ecosphere where all those records and all those interactions and all the billings and all that kind of happen, that it's easy for an independent pharmacist to do, that the chains have been able to do for years. So we're currently under development of that. The most important thing is, and this is where you all come in, is that as we create this ecosphere and how we work together, is it needs to be interoperable and in the workflow, and it needs to be easy for them to manage to, easy for them to build to, easy for them to understand, and it follows their workflow. And that's kind of working with you and working with other, PMSs that are maybe out in the marketplace. How do we get this to work together for the benefit of independent pharmacy? So we're excited about what the future is going to hold in that. It's a lot more complex than what I just said in terms of how easy this is to garner together, but also then because you got billing, you got accreditations, you've got all those other things that happen to be behind it that people in the independent pharmacy who are taking care of the patients don't have time to do. But that's what the GPO is there for, and that's what we're currently working on, and what we're mandated by our board and our ownership to do, which is independent pharmacy themselves.
Darren, I want to go back to you, and you talked about the things that y'all are doing to help independent pharmacies. What about helping independent pharmacies with marketing? I think that's the biggest struggle that pharmacies have, and so they end up doing outsourcing or just not doing it at all. Or if they are doing it, they're not doing enough.
Couldn't agree more. I think, and again, we've in the past tried or attempted to provide solution in the form of vendor relationships, but I think you're absolutely right. I think there's a lot of independents that need help with their website, with how to market, and we're working on making some investments and expanding our efforts in that area as well. There is a real need for independent pharmacies to improve how they communicate with their community.
Mm-hmm. I mean, one of the things that we're talking about doing and trying to pull together and get started is just a podcast that's directed more to patients. That is, maybe it's going to be Marc Bivins, and it's going to be the RX Local podcast, and he may come back and interview and talk to you. And it's just going to be more about like our audience is independent pharmacy and trying to connect them to companies like yours and what are y'all doing that makes y'all the leader. And so the turnaround is going to be, what are things that patients don't know, and really just kind of dumbing down our terminology to make things more understandable. Because like if I go to my grandmother, I'm like, you need to go to this pharmacy and so they can sync your meds. She doesn't know what sync my meds jargon, or med sync.
That's exactly right.
And it's getting rid of a lot of our jargon, and
yes.
And that's one of the things I continue to tell the person that does some of the marketing for RX Local is go ask your grandmother if she knows what you just said. It's like, how do you break down our jargon to a way that she's going to understand it? And I think that's one of the biggest struggles is I'm seeing when any pharmacy that does marketing is that they're using our jargon.
Yeah. Yep. Well said. Couldn't agree more.
Interesting. Off the news, GSK just got their RSV vaccine approved. What do you guys think about that? Are we gonna make a big push?
I think so. I think anytime you get, as we say, belly buttons into the door in an independent pharmacy and into the retail space, opens up opportunities for conversations about other lifestyle choices and things that they may be working on, certainly other Shingrix and other things that are going on out there. But creating those local relationships, local access is always going to be an important thing. So as more of those come out now and in the future, it's going to be extremely important for independent pharmacy that we capture it and we have the infrastructure available for them to be able to take advantage of those types of programs. And certainly, by far the vast majority of our members since COVID, because prior to COVID, it wasn't as ubiquitous to either do flu shots and Shingrix. Now, it's why are you not versus why are you doing
Correct.
it? Economically for me, everybody now understands that, and that wasn't the case pre-COVID, but now we're starting to see great infrastructure, and it's a good opportunity for us to continue.
When do you think when do you think that vaccine will have wide distribution where your customers will be able to get it?
I think we're probably going to be looking at maybe, I'm speculating, but it'd probably be late summer, going into the season where people can have more RSV. the September, October,
Yeah,
or early
fall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder if it'll be something you can get at the same time as the flu shot.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see in the future, now into the future, where you're able to get these combo meds, and who's going to be able to start to do that type of stuff.
Okay, so I'm kind of curious because as we talk about independent pharmacy and, trying constantly to think of things that we can do to help independent pharmacy, what kind of things do you see as what is your hopes for pharmacies and just an overall financial perspective?
So I don't think it's likely that we're going to see better reimbursements, at least in aggregate. We're just not. It's going to be chipped around the service with PBM reform laws. It may be chipped around, but it's not going to be ubiquitous. Like, for instance, the NADAC is beneficial, in certain states when it does come in, but we're not talking anything that's kind of game changing. I think what we're going to need to see is we're just going to need to see these innovative programs working with, pharmacy management systems and GPOs and all these programs that are built that are simple, easy to use, that allow them to take advantage of some of this changing marketplace of access to healthcare, where they can capitalize on taking care of the patient at a deeper level and being able to monetize that to be able to keep them in business. It's not about independent pharmacies. Right. You're not going to see them be making millions of dollars like PBMs and other things out there doing. But it's a matter of being able to future-proof them, sustain them, so that way they're all a part of that infrastructure. Because if there is another COVID or another, you name the affliction that happens, if you don't have that infrastructure with people having access directly to healthcare professionals, or even as people get older, tend not to be adherent to their medications, adhere to all these types of things, having that personal touch in their local community is going to be that important. And I think if we can continue to work on that through all the industry and all the players rowing in that same direction, the future still looks bright.
Is still the plan not to have an IPC show? Is that the roll
That's
forward?
correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
we're planning on doing it.
So are y'all
every
just
second
tagging
year.
it on to
They'll
the
just be a
McKesson
part of
show?
the McKesson show, right?
Correct. We're going to do it every second year. It's a very expensive venture.
So you're going to do your show every 2 years, not just not do it. Okay, good.
Correct. Yeah, every 2 years. We're getting a little bit of vendor fatigue. So obviously they have Assembly and ACRM and all the shows that we've had to at the beginning of the year. We're getting a little bit of fatigue. So we're trying to lay our money down on where we need most value for the members. And every second year, especially next year, because we'll have digital pharmacy fully accessible and up and running in order to have something new and innovative to bring versus just meeting with your traditional vendors. So I think it would be great to do that. But this year we are increasing our budget at Idea Share. As the board indicated when I first took the position, when are we going to start having fun again? Because there's this malaise and this cloud that's been hanging over independent pharmacy for quite some time. And so, we'll have some fun at Idea Share. So stay tuned if you're going to be there at in Las Vegas with Idea Share, the IPC booth. We have a lot of innovative things coming and a couple of really big giveaways that
cool. So the booth is fun.
We went back old school.
Do we have some?
I enjoyed IPC in Coeur d'Alene. I won an Apple Watch.
No, I just enjoyed it. I thought it was.
I won the Apple Watch.
And then they said it's going away forever, but
I know,
it's
and
not.
that
It's
made me
every
sad,
2 years.
but-
So
Every 2 years.
it's good. It's a good group. It's a good group of people. A lot of what I consider leaders and thinkers and that kind of stuff.
Oh, absolutely. That's a good add-on. Okay, so Jeff bounced off of the Assembia conversation a little too early for me, but I had one quick question. So normally when we're at a trade show, it's like, what are the top 5 things that we came back with that was the top conversation there on the floor or with other people? What would you say are the top 2 things that were talked about at Assembia?
Yeah. What big idea what 2 things you come back with?
So unfortunately, what we are finding is that there's a further divergence of specialty pharmacy from retail independent pharmacy. That's one of the things that I'm very concerned about. And part of the reason I was there is to educate myself on that. What we're trying to do is we're trying to educate manufacturers that may either go through direct distribution or through some other mechanism that we have healthcare professionals in the community that can easily do this. I mean, we've had relationships in the past where we try to be able to work with a specialty pharmacy for an independent in order so that way you can do referrals to not lose all the scripts. But we're still trying to figure that out. Part of the reason I was there is to understand what it is that specialty pharmacy is looking for. I think what we're trying to do is educate manufacturers, which is at the end of the day the most important folks in the supply chain, as to the resources that are available, and also even through ourselves, the possibility of distribution and our new digital health to be able to work on outcomes, even work on, where independent pharmacy can now start to, be able to pull in data for clinical trials, those types of things. And how do we become part of the solution? Because there's really nothing different between a specialty pharmacy and an independent pharmacy from licensing, all that, other than, it's expensive. I mean, you give me a better definition than that. I don't know what it is other than the drug is expensive. Obviously there's infusion and, injections that are a little bit more there, but that is starting to evolve. So it's about an education is what we were trying to do this time around.
And speaking of shows, Marsha, Jeff, we're excited to be at your show.
Yes.
Catalyst Connect Conference.
Things are cranking up, getting exciting. Yeah. Good.
Yeah.
This is
when
our
Marc,
first time to attend. So,
well, you're going to have fun. So, and that's just tooting my own horn because I'm one of the primary organizers, and I have a lot of fun.
Never do that either.
I have a lot of fun planning it. Although this week has been crunch week, and
this is the not fun stage.
Yeah, Jeff
me,
was asking me, he's like, "When are we going to have fun?" And I came in, I go, "It's Cinco de Mayo."
This is the concept of the day. When are we having fun again?
We're having fun again. Well, it's Cinco de Mayo. We're going to go get margaritas this afternoon.
This is a very brief period. We normally have fun as a company. Well,
you can think of a better place. I mean, talk about a fun town. I mean, that is one of my favorite places in the nation to be.
Yeah.
Well, we look forward to having you guys.
Yeah.
Well, Marc and I will be there, but we'll have a couple other team members, Kelly and Frank. So
okay,
Kelly and Frank. Okay.
Kelly and Frank. So
all right.
Do they have easy last names?
Yes, they do.
All right, good.
Yeah.
Easier than ours.
I was going to apologize that I'm not going to be there. It just so happens the last 25 years, that is like my guys' fishing trip to Canada with my fraternity brothers. And I'll be out on the Pacific Ocean up Vancouver fishing. So
what a cool thing to do.
Next year, it's going to be mid-May. So maybe you'll come to that one.
Yeah.
I only go in June fishing for this.
She's already trying to hook you up for next year. So. All right. Well, thank you. We look forward to working with you on your digital pharmacy adventure and all the cool things you do to try to save pharmacy. If you want to know more about IPC and you're a McKesson customer, go to the McKesson Idea Share. And otherwise, where should they go?
I know, IPCRX.com.
IPCRX.com. All right. Thanks, you guys. You'll have a great weekend.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for both of you.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you for watching the Catalyst Pharmacy Podcast.
If you enjoyed today's episode, please like, subscribe, and follow us wherever you get your podcast.
Give us a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts to help us reach more pharmacy professionals like you.